Be careful. Be ever on the alert. And begin being alert personally. Now, this is one of the things that I've noticed. Now, I'm not just talking about Muslims. I'm saying that I just noticed it generally among our people. But as Muslims, we need to break that habit. Now, I was in a supermarket in Atlanta. I never will forget it. Some time ago, Brother Edward Muhammad, who is the minister in training there, was with me, and he had stayed out in the car. And then he decided he wanted something. And he went back and taught about how I had my back to him, at a grocery shelf. But when he got within a certain distance of me, I automatically turned around. Well, that's years and years of practice. Nobody can get within a certain range of me without me feeling their presence. You develop that. That's no accident. That's not nothing that just comes to you. That's something that you start training yourself.
Yes, sir.
And actually, see, you have it in your nature. What has happened is you've let it go to sleep. You've never utilized it. But there is a thing that they teach in the school for the blind called face presentation. You take a blind person who has been to a school of the blind. They can walk in this room, have never been here before, and they will walk up, and when they get to within a certain distance of this wall, they stop. They don't have to use no cane or nothing. They will walk up and they will stop, because when they reach a certain distance, the air currents change. And the reason they call it face presentation is right on your cheeks are the most sensitive part. And right on your cheeks, when anything changes the currents of air that's surrounding you, you can feel it on your cheeks. And this is how a blind person keeps from walking into things. They get to a certain distance and they stop because the air currents tell, just like radar. They pick radar from the bat. You hear bats. You never notice when bats fly. Well, y'all might not have seen bats. But anyway, I grew up in a place where they had a bunch of bats. And when it's dark, when bats are flying, bats always squeak, always squeal. Why? That's where they learned for radar and sonar. They got it from bats. Because what the bat is doing, bats' eyesight is very bad.
Yes, sir.
So what bats do is emit a sound. And when the sound bounces back, it not only tells them how far they are from an object, but tells them the shape of the object. See? This is what Allah puts into the various creatures of His for their protection. Well, in us, He has put this face presentation thing that makes us sensitive to the air current. And the only thing is that we have not developed that sensitivity. It's there in us. All we got to do is develop, and you do it through practice.
Come on, sir.
You start at home with your family. You start not listening for them. But if they're walking barefoot or in house shoes on, you're not listening. Try to keep yourself attuned that when anybody in your household gets within a certain distance of you, you can feel it. In the dark. Some of you have walked in a dark room and you knew somebody was there.
Yes, sir.
Hey, you got those senses. You got them. All we have to do is work on them. Work on them. Because when you go into your yard, go into your garage, go into your house, you may go in one day and there may be somebody there who has no business there. And if your senses are alert, you'll immediately get on your guard. Okay? Now, all of these things that I'm telling you, the things that we need to be working on. You really need to be working on that. Do not just be so engrossed in anything that somebody can, because you're okay, I'm among friends. That's where you practice. Practice among your friends, because by the time your enemies get there, it's too late. Okay? Practice right here in the mouth. Don't let nobody just walk all the way up on you and you don't even know they're there. Be aware of anybody getting close to you. Be aware of it. When they approach, you feel their presence. And then you'll be that way out when you're on the subway, when you're walking down the street. Because people will come and get you from anywhere. And those of you who are learning the martial arts, you probably know already that there's 2 or 3 different sciences. In fact, I'm getting ready to send for a book on one of them now. 2 or 3 sciences where a person can touch you with their finger and walk away, and you die.
Yes, sir.
Oh yeah, yeah. What they do is, in fact, it's included in Kung Fu. Okay, the assassins used to use it. You walk up, and the way that you hit a particular nerve, the nerve begins to vibrate, just like an earthquake, and it increases intensity as it goes. Which means you going on down the block. This person standing there, all of a sudden this nerve just starts, and finally it gets so intense till your blood vessels rupture and you strangle on your own blood. You bleed internally. Okay? Man. So that means that you don't have to look for nobody with a club or a gun or a knife, just anybody.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? Just don't let anybody walk up too close to you for no reason at all.
Yes, sir.
They start walking, you start watching.
That's right.
See what they go do. They make any funny moves, make it their last move. I'm just telling you like it is. Let me tell you something, brothers, because some of y'all scared to go to jail.
No, sir.
Let me tell you something about the law. Sister Barbara right here, she'll tell you. Brother Larry's right over here, he'll tell you. Most of us have a misconception of self-defense legally. Self-defense is not when you defend yourself against a threat or against your life. No, that's not self-defense. I mean, that's self-defense, but that is not restricted to that. Our self-defense plea is valid if you thought your life was in jeopardy. If you off somebody because you thought they were going to do you harm, you're innocent. You understand that? Now that's in this law system.
Yes, sir.
They even recognize your right to defend yourself from a threat, real or imagined. Okay? I mean, that's just for y'all, because, you know, if you're really about it, you wouldn't give a damn if you have to go to jail. If somebody getting ready to harm you, you go on to do what you got to do. But for those of you who got that fear of jail, and most people do, especially if you've never been. Now, some of y'all have been in the joint. Y'all don't feel a thing, so that's good. You're that much ahead of the game. That's the truth. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad told me out of his own mouth, he said he was afraid of jail until he went. Then once he went, he said it was just like the Waldorf Astoria. Those are his exact words. He said, when you go to jail for a righteous cause, it's just like the Waldorf Astoria. He said, I can't honestly say I had a bad day, and he was in there almost 5 years. But he said, but until he went, he was afraid. And I have to bear witness. Before I ever went to a jailhouse, I, keep my courage up and everything, but I used to tremble at the thought of that jail. But hey, there ain't nothing but somewhere to teach. Damn, they put me in a joint, boy, they glad to get me out of there. That's right. I'll be teaching hard. And you already see, you got a good audience. They already mad because they in jail. So, we want you to be ready. Now, sisters, let me tell you something. Y'all got it. I was telling you about history of Muslim women way back, hundreds of years ago. But you can go right to the public library here in New York and see some history of the sisters here in the Nation of Islam in North America. That's right. I mean, they got one book, They Seek a City, where they chronicle it. Another one, Black Nationalism by E.U. Essien Udom. Okay? I mean, these sisters were so bad, and see, that was back, I think I told you once about how the sisters, somebody spooked up the sisters, I think while the messenger was in jail, and the sisters started shaving their heads like the nuns. They did. Even Sister Muhammad, messenger's wife, she was bald-headed. Somebody had put out the science that if you shave your head, and then if you scrub it every day with Dutch cleanser, with a brush, that your hair would grow back straight like Master Farah Muhammad. You heard that? Captain Raymond Sharif, the Supreme Captain. They say he was the cold winter time, he had this bald head, he was out there, in the snow with no hat on. So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad exploded all that. But before he did, if you read these books, they will tell you that the folks had to have the matrons to check these sisters because they swore they were men, because when they started fighting, the headpieces came off. And they said, oh, they got men disguised as women. But these were sisters with bald heads. But anyway, they were in this courtroom in Detroit. And they didn't like the decision. So, hey, the sister said, you're not taking our brother to jail. I mean, the sister stood up first. You're not taking our brother to jail. You ain't taking him nowhere. I met an old sister, Mary Ali, when I first went to Chicago, and she had an old yellow clipping in a frame up on her wall with her and the police line up, or her and all the brothers. And the police line up. She had a little cap all cocked sideways. They were bad, sister. They rumbled. They called all the bailiffs, the deputies. Them sisters were throwing them around like they were tennis balls. because something happened. For some reason, most of the brothers weren't there. Some reason the Honorable Elijah Muhammad had, I think he told them don't miss their jobs or something like that. So the courtroom was full of sisters. These sisters took care of business. And that's the famous case, I'm sure most of you heard about it, where the judge dropped dead on the bench. Shook him up so he had a heart attack and died on the bench. Okay? That was them sisters taking care of business. We got some sister warriors in our history right here. We don't have to go all the way back there hundreds of years. We got some sisters warriors right here, you know. And so I'm telling you that, sisters, because you got a tradition to live up to too. Okay, you got a tradition to live up to. And during that same time, Detroit was hot. Detroit was really hot. Nothing like New York is going to be, and a few other places are going to be very soon. But especially New York, Los Angeles, and possibly Miami. But they got into a rumble with the police outside the courthouse one day, and I mean, they sent a patrol wagon full of nightsticks. Because they had orders, don't pull your gun. You know, some of those high men understood something. They told them, don't even go in there with weapons. Don't even go in. That's why they didn't have the nightsticks. But when it got so rough and the brothers were handling them so bad, they sent a patrol wagon in there with nightsticks, and the police ran over to the patrol wagon, and as they were pulling those sticks off, it was just like they were handing them to the brothers. As fast as they pulled them, the brothers would take them out there and start wailing on their heads with them, you know. Right. Then they had a little rumble in San Diego, and I'm gonna close on this, but this is very key. See, let's not get spooked up. We do not carry weapons. We do not have weapons in our homes. We do not go out of our way to get weapons under any circumstances.
Yes, sir.
But there was an incident in San Diego. Back then they had about 5 Muslims, I think, in the whole state of California at that time. But anyway, like most of those folks do, you got 5 Muslims, so they had a minister, a captain, secretary, and probably 2 lieutenants. So everybody was officers. But at any rate, that's why they didn't grow, you know. That always happens. You get a bunch of officers, you know, everybody giving each other orders. You know. And everybody standing on the outside looking and say, what are these fools playing? You know. But anyway, that's the way it was. It was just a handful of Muslims there. But they got into a rumble. And so in the process of fighting, the captain, the policeman finally pulled his gun, and the captain took the gun away from him, to keep him from shooting. So then finally, you know, when the big chief came down and they settled and they talked and everything, they settled it peacefully. And then he gave him the gun back, and they went on and submitted to arrest, went on down, you know. They paid a little fine or something and came on out of the case pretty clean, everything. But the captain was worried about that for a while. And finally, he wrote the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, described exactly what happened. And he wanted to know, were they right in, after they subdued the police, were they right in going along, giving them their weapon back and going to the jail? The Honorable Elijah Muhammad wrote a very short little note to the brother. He said, brother, whenever you are fighting, if the enemy's weapon falls in your hands, know that it is from Allah.
Yes, sir.
Okay? You got that?
Yes, sir.
See, we don't go out and secure arms. But it is against the law of Quran to refuse a blessing from Allah.
Yes, sir.
You understand that?
Yes, sir.
So they can come and see this. White folks understand this, but that's why if you notice in the jailhouse, the guards aren't permitted to go in with weapons.
That's right.
Because, see, Islam is in accord with your nature. Your nature is, even if you ain't got nothing, if somebody else got something and they try to use it on you and you get it, hey, your nature tells you what to do. Okay? So that's why when them guards get ready to go in, they leave their guns outside, just in case. All right. You don't know what you might get into. I want you to have something to draw on. Okay?
Yes, sir.
So no matter what the situation, we already have clear instructions if we but understand.
Yes, sir.
And as we go, we will continue to you know,
Yes,
try and give you more and more instructions. But this